Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine, a beautiful country in the center of Europe that has many interesting things to show the world. But today we have too many Russian orcs who came to invade our territory, failed in most of their plans, but still need to be evacuated. So I have decided to vlog daily to keep you updated on real-life situation in my country and also introduce you to some important things from our culture, history, and answer your questions. If you're new to the channel, join our community and let's witness Ukrainian victory together. And today I want to speak about one of the topics that I consider very important. I wanted to attract your attention to it, and a series of explosions both in Ukraine and on temporarily occupied territories and even in Russia allow me to actually start talking about that. I want to speak about differences in explosions and in targets that Russians and Ukrainians choose after the start of this brutal Russian invasion. To begin with, I would like to say that during this year, Russia sent 1,200 drones to Ukraine, and 1,000 of them were stopped by Ukrainian air defense. This is one of the wildest examples how people waste their money and energy on totally useless things, because Ukrainians know how to shoot drones, and I'm sure you've seen lots of videos how people even on the streets are able to stop these drones. But Russians never learn on their mistakes and they continue sending them almost every night. But first, let's look at those targets and attacks that Russia does on Ukraine every day. Sometimes in my thoughts, I return back to those good old days when news about an explosion in any part of the world would stress humanity, and we all were reading the updates. We were terrified with this event, be it accidental or intended, but explosions were treated as something extraordinary. And in my today's reality, being Ukrainian, every morning when I wake up, I know that lots of things will explode in Ukraine because Russia wants to erase my country. Russia fails, gets more angry, and still continues throwing this explosives, metal on Ukraine. So, first of all, they shoot us with artillery on front lines. Then, too close to front lines, they shoot with long-range artillery and are able to destroy many buildings and settlements in general on close to front lines. And especially regions like Kharkiv, Kherson, Chernihiv, Sumy suffer a lot from that. Kherson is liberated, but Russian soldiers remained on the other side of the Dnieper River, and they continue using it to terrorize people because there is nothing else. They've spent so much time in Kherson. They had to leave Kherson first because Ukrainian armed forces are strong, and second because no one in Ukraine wants Russia. They maybe believed that Ukrainians need them or want them or feel any, connection with them. But having spent so much time in Kherson, they felt only hatred, and people wanted liberation. People opposed. People went on meetings and people were celebrating liberation. And what do? They escape from the city, they leave the city, and they continue shooting people out of hatred and terror, nothing else. This is just like hatred and revenge that they demonstrate. So they daily shoot Kherson, and also Kharkiv, Dnipro, Kyiv is one of the favorite targets, especially during nighttime. And they use massive missile supplies and drones to do that. Also Kinzhal missiles, Kalibr missiles, and everything that is possible. Now we see that with the support of our allies and with the training of our armed forces, Kyiv is almost undamaged and stands still, just like people get used to the sounds they hear. Honestly, it's unbelievable. I have many friends who live in Kyiv and they say me it's so abnormal that we are getting used to this and treat it as something normal. So that you sleep, you continue working at night, or you are sitting in a corridor for 2 hours before dawn and you think it's okay. You continue checking your mail, you drink your tea, and you feel like it's a part of your normality. This is not normal. Once again, think about like 5 years ago or something. If we'd hear a missile targeted on Kyiv or any other European capital, we would be, oh my God, this is something crazy, the world is falling. And now like dozens, hundreds of various weapons fly in direction of Ukraine and what? And Russia is still a political object and subject and figure, and Putin is treated as a president by many countries. So if we sum up, what is the reason of Russian attacks on Ukraine using drones, using missiles? It is just to hurt Ukrainians, to terrorize Ukrainians, and to cause panic. It seems to me that if they were smarter, they would have realized that if it didn't work in winter, so half a year later, it will not start causing our panic or desire to give up. So perhaps the only thing that you're doing, you're destroying the country, and that's exactly what they want. No, they don't want to stop Kyiv regime. They are not looking for Nazis. They are not liberating Russian-speaking Ukrainians. They are destroying the country and killing the people. And they fail in that, luckily. Today they have attacked Dnipro. And one more example, they have destroyed a medical institution, it seems to me, clinics. 2 people died, many people wounded, and the hospital itself destroyed. Children were wounded. What's the purpose? Once again, hatred and the desire to erase Ukrainians as a nation, as a country. And Ukrainian armed forces at the very beginning had nothing to answer with. We are not allowed to use the weapons we are supplied with. I mean, serious missiles and other stuff, and even super drones, to target Russia on Russian territory. I talk about military objects, but we are not allowed to cross the border, Russian border, with these weapons because the world is afraid of escalation. Ukrainians respect the rules, even if they don't understand these rules. Cheers, this is lemonade. And Ukrainians, like, it's weird, like, you cannot protect yourself and target your enemy. You have to fight on your territory, destroying your own territory, but let it be. We always respect the rules and conditions on which we are given support. And if we do something on the territory of Russia, luckily we do, we use our own weapons or weapons developed by Ukrainians right now, and traditionally these are small drones or people who enter the territory of Russia. Anyway, these are not sent by our allies' weapons, and with these small things that we have, we are able to succeed. And of course, we are allowed to target Russian military objects on the territories that are temporarily occupied by Russia, because these are Ukrainian territories. And you know, some regions, including Crimea, are still under Russian control. And this is a territory where more and more successful Ukrainian military operations are conducted. For example, yesterday in Berdyansk, that is temporarily occupied, was 4 explosions in the center of the city, and S-300 complex was destroyed, that they used to protect themselves as air defense and also to target Ukraine adjacent regions. And Russian air defense does not work. For example, the rate of success of Ukrainian air defense is more than 80%, and Russian, I guess, more than 8% or something. And also there were explosions in Crimea, in Sevastopol, and in Donetsk. All of these are temporarily occupied, and If you are attentive, you read there are no victims among civilians. Sometimes during war, it's really difficult to avoid 1 or 2 accidents or something like that. But here, no people injured, and only military objects or objects that are connected to military supply are targeted. Ukrainians are able to do that because, like, we are not monsters. We are not orcs. Some people in comments ask me not to dehumanize Russians, but Russians dehumanize themselves. It was not me who made them kill Ukrainian children and destroy Ukrainian hospitals. I cannot say an observer, I'm an active participant of this war because I live in a country where a bomb can explode on my street any moment and no one in the world will be surprised. And that's bad. That is what dehumanization is. Not me talking about Russians in a slightly nervous tone. So also on a Russian territory, an explosion was in KRASNODAR, using something that Ukrainians can make. And one explosion in Belgorod region in Gazprom, in the building of Gazprom. I like watching these videos and I like hearing Russians in panic. Why? Because I am Ukrainian, and if you are too kind, I invite you to come and see what Ruski Mir brought to my beautiful country that did not want anything apart from live, develop, and live a normal life. So the essence of this video, I wanted to ask you to compare the targets that Ukrainians choose to stop this war and Russians choose to continue this war. And even those who are sympathetic to Russia, who want to find an explanation why they behave that way, think about the destroyed hospitals, the destroyed schools, how many civilians died on bus stops in Kherson, for example, how many buildings where people were sleeping and living are destroyed around Ukraine. These are hundreds and thousands. And what is the reason for the choice of such targets? Hatred and desire to destroy Ukraine and its people, nothing else. They are not fighting against NATO laboratories. They are not in schools, and there are no NATO laboratories, but even if they were, they would not be in hospitals, or maternity houses. They are not trying to target only military objects. They simply want to spread terror and fear. And they are stupid enough to see that it doesn't work. So you are only falling deeper into the hole of sins and spend more and more money on Shaheds and missiles that are stopped by Ukrainians and their allies. So this proves that anger and hatred will never bring you to the victory. Tomorrow I invite you for our question and answer session that will start at 8 p.m. Ukrainian time this Saturday. I missed you all a lot and will be happy to see you. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons. Check our t-shirts and merch. All the links to my social media and to the shop below this video. Slava Ukraini!